The young Metro,
Lillard, long range three.
beautiful morning. Get a sunlight,
Football is back. It's the best Sunday of the year. Today, we had a full slate of NFL games, plus one game tomorrow. And man, it was a great day. Got some overtime thrillers, a tie, primetime action. It was just a great day all around. Me and Casey's teams didn't do too hot, but that's okay. It's week one. We're going to bounce back. Had the U.S. Open men's finals today in tennis. We have that to talk about. MLB is getting closer to the playoff race. High school football is underway, week 3. And yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
College football.
Sports talk and college football. Of course, can't believe I skipped over that. And yeah, so let's talk about all that stuff. Well, main emphasis will be on NFL because that started today, but we'll touch on everything else too. Let's get it.
Today, we crowned a new winner of the tennis Grand Slams. I mean, a CEO Sports Talk question that we've had on all 3 trivias, I feel like, was, name the last Grand Slam winner that wasn't the big 3 and Andy Murray. And it's always hard to figure that out, but we got a new one today. Carlos Alcaraz officially has won, only 19 years old, should be, wrapping up his freshman year of college right now, going into the sophomore year. The guy already has won a Grand Slam. It's unreal. And it's just good for the sport, I think, having these young guys. He does trick shots. He beat Casper Ruud, who's also up-and-coming guy, made 2 Grand Slam finals. Oliver's a big Ruud guy. And, Francis Tiafoe, also from the United States, representing the USA, who's had a really good year of tennis so far. So, yeah, good for Carlos Alcaraz.
Yeah, good for Alcaraz. Just shows you athleticism is king in tennis. Like a guy like Alcaraz can get to every ball. And is also making the game fun, like you said, with the trick shots. Him and Kyrgios kind of leading that movement, it seems like.
Alcaraz controls his temper a little bit better than Kyrgios too. So
yeah, that is true.
And not to mention, Alcaraz played 2 5-hour matches, in a row, played till 2:30 a.m. and then 3 a.m. against Jannik Sinner, where he had a match point against him and came back, and then beats Francis Tiafoe in a 4-hour showdown 5-setter. And then wins this. The guy's stamina is unreal.
That's another thing. Yeah, being 19 years old, his stamina is crazy. But yeah, I want to give a shout out to Francis Tiafoe. I mean, I was rooting for him. Another CEO Sports Talk potential question being answered, which was the last American Grand Slam winner.
Almost.
Yeah, almost got that. I thought he played super well. Upset over Nadal was obviously crazy to watch, and gave the eventual champion a run for his money.
He had a great tournament, and the Americans are really coming strong. Obviously, Tiafoe, Fritz, John Isner, I feel like kind of set the new wave of Americans with that 2018 Wimbledon run, and then we just saw a 2022 U.S. Open run for Tiafoe. So good for him. And on the female side, Iga Swiatek, the number 1 player in the world, easily won it. She beat Jabeur in the finals, the Tunisian who made it to the finals of Wimbledon. So, good for her. Men's doubles was won by Ram Salisbury, and women's doubles was won by 2 Czech Republic women. So, yeah.
Yeah, Swiatek also young. She's special as well. She'll be running the game for a while, it seems like. But yeah, just some good tennis in the U.S. Open.
I thought it was a really solid U.S. Open, just a lot of good games and just ultimately different people than normal. I feel like a lot of people watch the U.S. Open that don't even like tennis just because it's on ESPN in a really solid few weeks, start of September.
Yeah, I always kind of forget to watch the tournaments, but I find myself kind of really interested in the U.S. Open. I watched a lot of matches, especially when Francis Tiafoe was playing. But yeah, really good Open, and the youth movement is on full display.
100%. So your 4 winners this year of the 4 Grand Slams, just wrapped it up, is Nadal for the Australian, Nadal once again for the French, Djokovic for Wimbledon, and Carlos Alcaraz for the U.S. Open. So great tennis season we had this year.
Yep.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the year again. It's high school football season. So let's go through some of these rankings right here. At 1, the 3-0 Sarah Padres continue to excel. They have a junior QB, Malachi Smith, and he is playing really well. Not to mention the Sarah Padres won on national TV last Friday versus Folsom It was a great game.
De La
They got a
Salle,
game-winning kick. And Sarah, a lot of people expecting them to have a down year just because a lot of guys left. But I do not think they're having a down year. If not, maybe they're even better than last year, as their seniors, class of 2023, has really stepped up.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, man, there's a lot of talent on this team. I thought they'd take a step back, losing guys like Hassan Mahasan, but they seem to be better. Yeah, they beat De La Salle on national TV. They beat Folsom earlier in the season. I mean, those are two California powerhouses, and they've established themselves as the best team in Northern California, and they are.
Yeah.
And Salinas behind them. I don't know much about the Salinas team, but they're always good. I mean, I don't know really who they're playing, but the strength schedule seems decent. Uh, and then Wilcox, who hasn't really played anyone yet, but have steamrolled every team. And yeah,
Yeah.
they look really good.
Salinas and Wilcox at 2 and 3 is interesting because you're almost always going to see another private school there at 2-3-4, a WCal team, and seeing 3 public schools at 2-3-4 is really interesting. So Salinas obviously is all we're talking about, really solid team, and they have a lot of people coming back this year, and they've looked really solid to start this year out. Wilcox, as you said, also looks really solid. Los Gatos is in their league as well. Looks good. Their one loss is to Corona Del Mar, so that's not a bad loss at all. They're really good. And then we got St. Francis, who struggled a little bit to start this year off. Their losses are to De La Salle, and it wasn't very close, and Sarah beat them. So it looks like Sarah's going to win that WCal pretty handily. And then it also was to Central Catholic, I believe. I think they beat actually Central Catholic. It was to Monterey Trail. Yeah.
Don't even know who that is.
A little bit of a tough start for St. Francis, but they've also had a really tough schedule. And then there's MA. MA had a bye week this week, but they've looked really good so far, beating Bellarmine and Elk Grove. Obviously, new players coming in, and they look really solid.
Yeah, they do. Jurion Dickey was a great addition for those Bears. Really taking over. It's 6 all-purpose touchdowns, or from 6 touchdowns from the line of scrimmage thus far. 5 receiving touchdowns, 1 rushing, and like 600 yards from scrimmage so far and through 2 games. So he's really dominating, showing why he's the number 2 ranked receiver in the nation. Mitty actually, after a really tough season last year, is kind of dominating. I mean, my team played them in the scrimmage, and I wasn't expecting much from them, and they actually really impressed me. And so I'm not surprised they're doing well, but we'll see if they can keep it up.
They look great. 3-0, amazing start to the year. Same QB for them last 3 years. So obviously a ton of experience there. Really solid coaching staff. They crushed Mountain View. They had a really big game Friday, but my most impressive win for them is beating Palma, who's a good team this year.
Yeah, for sure. We got Menlo 2-0. All right, well, Menlo canceled their game because of the heat wave here. So they'll have their bye pushed back later. Sacred Cathedral at 9. I think we'll start running through these quickly. They look decent. Nice winning as SSP week 1. Close game though. VC at 10, losing Jurion Dickey's kind of tough. They're 1-2. Aptos 11, and then 12 Cigarette Prep. You want to talk more about them, Casey, and plead a case why they should be higher? Or?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Cigar Prep's 1 loss is to Cathedral on the road week 1 by 1 point. It was a really solid game. It could have gone either way. Obviously I'm biased. I think Cigar would win if they played again at home, obviously, but Cathedral outplayed them. Got the win. But since then, Cigar Prep's had 2 big wins against 2 public schools in the top division for Santa Clara County, Homestead and Mountain View. They got a big test though coming up, Reardon and Los Gatos. So at the end of the day, the rankings don't really matter. They just got 2 big games coming up. But yeah, and also Aptos is a really good team. They're a smaller team, very gritty, not that many guys. But remember, that's a team that competed with St. Francis for the first 3 quarters in the Open Division first round last year. So don't mess with Aptos.
Yeah, and I think Bellarmine should be higher. Another 1-2, but they've had really tough schedule, and they've played they close. And St. Ignatius is 1-2.
Yeah, they
It's a
crushed
pretty good
Palo Alto
team.
week 1, but they struggled ever since.
They played St. Mary's and Jesuit, 2 teams I'm not familiar with. That could be really good. Who knows? St.
Yeah,
Mary's is
St.
3
Mary's
now.
from Stockton. They're really good.
Jesuit is,
I think they're from SoCal.
yeah, Carmichael, whatever that is. Yeah, okay. They Bellarmine, so that's gonna be a good test. They look really good in this win over Pally. Okay, here we go. Someone's on there. And yeah, so SI, see if they can get back on track. 1 and 2. Not much. Christopher's off to a good start.
Yeah, and he's sleeper on
is-
the team Soquel.
So is Pioneer. Did I miss him? Or maybe they're not on the first page. Okay. Pioneers 27. They're also up to a 3-0 start, but they just haven't really played anyone yet. So that's probably why. Leland. Not much going on in Bakir. Paul out at 1 and 2. Just picked up a win over Gunn at the Battle of Palo Alto. Really fun game.
Is last place Gun? I'm curious, just because. Wow, they're not.
66.
I would take Jefferson over Gun any day. But
Yeah, Jefferson's below Gunn. And below Glenn. Okay.
yeah, all right, but yeah, high school football. We're gonna have Get Sports Focus games of the week. You can vote on the poll. Next week, one of the games of the week is Reardon and SHP. Later in the following week, Menlo and Pally, Los Gatos, Sacred Heart. We got a lot of games of the week coming up. So get excited. High school football's in full swing. Right now, looks like Sacred Heart's looking like a D2 and the projected rankings right there. Pally would be about a D4 team. So get ready and yeah.
For sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, college football had themselves a weekend. We are going to break down the new AP pool, maybe give us some critiques about the rankings, say what we like, say what we don't. Let's start it off with, let's go 25-1. So Oregon is back in the AP poll. They crushed Eastern Washington, to be fair. And the question really here, if this number 25 is, do you rank a team like Marshall that just had a huge win, or a team like Oregon State that just beat Fresno State? Even Kansas State is 3-0. Mississippi State, or are you going to go Oregon, a 1-1 team with a great win but an awful loss to a good team? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I think Minnesota should have been receiving more votes.
Wazoo also beating Wisco.
I'm glad I was abysmal team is off this list. Not even receiving votes. That's good. But yeah, Oregon got demolished by Georgia and then demolished Eastern Washington themselves. A&M lost to Appalachian State, who received 80 votes.
They're only on there just because SEC a little biased there, but I don't think A&M should be on that in general.
No,
But
they're just not that
yeah.
good, man. Pittsburgh got another close game, but this time
they
they
deserve to
lost.
be on that.
Yeah, they lost to Tennessee, played them close. Tennessee's legit. Penn State improves to 2-0 after being Purdue and Ohio now. Texas played Alabama super well, 19-20. And do you think they would have won that game if Quinn Ewers did not get hurt?
That was the game of the year. As you can see the highlights right now, game of the week for sure. Quinn Ewers started off really well. Obviously gets hurt, I believe in the shoulder area. And then honestly, for me, he was impressive. Hudson Card was even not bad, who came in 4 years. He almost won that starting job in the summer. But what ultimately impressed me the most was the Texas defense. They shut down this Alabama offense for the most part, first 3 quarters. 1 sack away from really winning it. But ultimately, Bryce Young came up clutch, had some few nice runs. They ended up with the kick, and Alabama found a way to win it. But wow, Texas did really impress me. Obviously deserved to be ranked. And I was telling some people, life is good when Texas is good again. And I'm an Oklahoma guy. When Texas is good, when USC is good, it's just fun. Florida State, when all those teams are finally back, life's good. So I'm glad that Texas actually did compete with Alabama and really went for the money and show that Georgia is the real number 1 right now.
No cap. Ole Miss proves to 2-0 with a big W over Scottie Pippen's alma mater. And Wake Forest also 2-0 beats Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt was riding a high after beating Christian White in Honolulu, but they got crushed by Wake Forest.
The big news for Wake Forest is they got their quarterback, Sam Hartman, back.
Right.
He had a medical condition, but he got cleared and he played against Vanderbilt. So that's huge. Wake Forest going to be the team that can beat Clemson in this ACC. They're really solid this year.
Indeed. I think Florida should be a little higher. I think Kentucky's just really good.
But Florida, they're all hyped up. They probably got a great number of fans after an amazing win versus Utah, and then they lose like that. They lose to Kentucky. What a letdown. Richardson did not have his best game, and I just think Kentucky's legit.
Yeah, Richardson's a bit bipolar. Plays really good, plays really bad week-to-week basis. Baylor, I think, should be in the 20s, if not off.
Another game of the week right there. Baylor, BYU.
Baylor just does not impress me, especially in the passing game, man. Their
Yeah.
defense is pretty good, but offense is just non-existent. I really don't like this Baylor team that much. I kind of regret having them winning the Big 12.
What a great game. Baylor pulling up to Provo. That was a fun
Yeah,
one.
and that crowd was electric, dude.
Yeah.
North Carolina State improved to 2-0 after beating Charleston Southern. Doesn't move me. Don't care.
Yeah, they struggled week 1 versus Eastern Carolina. So I still
Yeah.
watching it.
I'd move them down a little bit, but I guess you have no means to yet. Tennessee beats Pittsburgh. It's a great win. These Vols look like they're back. 2 great wins to start the year. Utah takes out their anger on Southern Utah. Poor Southern Utah. 73-7. My goodness.
Yeah,
And
Utah needed
Utah-
that one after struggling, obviously, against Florida. They needed that. I still like Utah to maybe compete, win this Pac-12. I still think they're a really solid team. Cam Rising did play well week 1. We haven't actually talked about this on the show. We were really excited about the game. Florida ended up beating them, but I was not disappointed with Cam Rising's play.
And they somehow still drop a rank after putting up 73 points.
Yeah.
Miami
They won. I don't know why it says
I don't know why it says, well, I was about to say loses, but I know they didn't. Wins against Southern Miss. This game was tied, or they were down at some point in the first half, but they ended up regaining themselves and taking out a nice win. BYU was the other side of that Baylor game, overtime win. The kickers were struggling down the line, but BYU got the W in Provo, and that game was really fun. A lot of Puka Nacua, their star receiver, was out, and Chase Roberts, number 27, stepped up for the Cougars and really just had a nice game on the receiving end from a lot of nice passes from Jaron Hall.
Yeah, really solid game. Jaron
Junior.
Hall's a really good QB. He was their QB last year, and I like this BYU team.
Yeah, they're good, dude. I think they can, if they just keep winning these tough games, I think they have a shot at making the playoff. Michigan
Yeah.
State 2-0 beats Akron. Nothing crazy there. Obviously it's Akron, but still a crazy score. Up to 11. But this number 10 team, Arkansas, man, I think Arkansas is super good. Beats South Carolina 44-30 after being Cincinnati week 1. So 2 nice wins against pretty good opponents for Arkansas. And yeah, they look good. I think the Razorbacks are finally posed to have a really good year again.
Yeah, Arkansas is a really good team. Their quarterback, KJ Jefferson, good QB. They also have a really solid run game. They beat Cincinnati. And then South Carolina had a lot of hopes going into this year. Spencer Rattler coming in there, bringing Austin Stogner with them, but they didn't look too good, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But I still like them to have some upsets this year. Watch that Georgia upset. And also for Michigan State, that Jaden Reed, Peyton Thorne combo looks really solid.
Yeah. Kentucky, like we just talked about, beat Florida. They look good, man. Will Levis is the real deal. Watch out for him come draft time. Oklahoma State, Spencer Sanders looks really good. Heisman watch.
Spencer Sanders, dark horse Heisman. I really realized Spencer Sanders legit. It's his 3rd year starting for the Cowboys, by the way, but I really realized he was legit when I witnessed the Fiesta Bowl in person, and he was flawless versus Notre Dame. He runs the RPO to perfection. Really good run game QB and can pass the ball really well. And Arizona State, that's a really solid team. That's a Power 5 team. Emory Jones is their quarterback this year. They started off pretty hot, but Oklahoma State eventually got it together. They came out of the 3rd quarter of not their normal defense, but they looked really good. I like Oklahoma State to make a run this year at the Big 12. And then move to 7. USC was also at this game, 41-28. Stanford played really well on offense, but their defense could not stop this USC offense, who on ABC showed out. Caleb Williams was running that Lincoln Riley offense to perfection, as their receiving core is legit, man. You got Jordan Addison, Mario Williams, and Jerry Rice's kid, I believe Jaden Rice.
Something like that.
Brendan Rice. And then their running backs, super solid.
Travis Dye, yeah. I mean, yeah, this
Jones.
Addison, man, he's a force to be reckoned with. I mean, he's the reason why he's considered arguably the best receiver in the country. Caleb Williams can sling it. I mean, that offense is really hard to stop. The defense needs some work if they want to make a run at the playoffs.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of bend don't break for the defense, which can get dangerous. And I thought Stanford actually played really well offensively. Even when they didn't score, they were moving the ball down. some picks in the end zone. But Tanner McKee played pretty well for the most part.
Yeah, they almost got a backdoor cover actually. I mean, I
And
thought they were maybe going to cover that +9, but yeah,
one of
USC
your
legit.
yeah, one of your teams, the Sooners. I haven't watched them this year, but how do you feel about Oklahoma? How do you think about Dylan Gabriel and that offense?
Yeah, I think anyone that watches college football knows that Oklahoma wasn't going to be awful this year, as they finally have a defensive-minded coach. And we just talked about Lincoln Riley and USC. We're seeing it again with USC. Amazing offense. The defense is going to struggle. For Oklahoma, it's the opposite year this year when you have Brent Venables, the Clemson defensive coordinator, come in looking good. But Dylan Gabriel is a really solid player. He was good at UCF the last 2 years, and he's been flawless for the Sooners so far. To be fair, they've played UTEP and Kent State, but they've looked good in both. They got not that big of a test in Nebraska next week, but it is in Lincoln to be fair. And I like this Oklahoma team to win the Big 12, and I like my playoff pick right now.
Indeed. Clemson, DJ Uangagale, I think I don't even know how to say it, but hasn't looked great so far. They might be Cade Klubnik time, who knows? But they're getting wins, so they're still ranked number 5 in the country. I guess it's working until it doesn't work. But yeah, they're doing fine. And Michigan at that 4 spot. Looks
Great.
really good. I mean,
We've
JJ
seen Michigan struggle like kind of years after years against these kind of teams in non-conference, but these last 2 years and especially this year, whether it's JJ or Cade, they both look really solid. Their defense looks good. Michigan's legit. And for Clemson, I think you don't need to bench DJ. He's been fine, but I could see this team just being like last year's team when ACC play comes around.
Yeah, facts. And I think JJ McCarthy is the answer personally at quarterback. Ohio State 2-0 beat Arkansas State. Jackson Smith and Jigba didn't play, but Marvin Harrison Jr. balled out. CJ Stroud threw several touchdowns. So this Ohio State team, I mean, this is a 3-head monster over here with Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, as it usually is with these teams. But yeah,
the question is who will be the 4th team that gets blown out by the 1 seed on New Year's Day?
Yeah, facts. Yeah, who will be this 4th team to lose to either Georgia, Alabama, or Ohio State? But yeah, do you agree with this order? I mean, obviously those teams are 3-0 or 2-0 and all really good teams, but do you agree with this?
I do, yeah. I mean, some would argue I think Georgia's the consensus 1 seed, but some would argue Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama after Alabama struggled. But that was at Texas. Texas is a good team. And since Ohio State, their credibility actually goes down this week due to the fact that Notre Dame lost to Marshall. They struggled a little bit with Notre Dame. Notre Dame gave them a good fight, especially to their offense. And Notre Dame losing to Marshall doesn't help them. So I like Ohio State at 3.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was gonna say maybe move Ohio State up after Alabama, but Ohio State did kind of struggle with Notre Dame. And Notre Dame, as you could tell, is not on this list. Received 23 votes. Or yeah. So Marshall at 26, though, that's pretty impressive for Marshall. Hope they can get on the top 25. There'd be a really real outlier here, and that'd be awesome for them. But yeah, Stephon Gilmore's brother got a pick 6, which was pretty cool. But yeah.
It's a big week of college football. Great games next week. Some sleeper games of the week for you guys all to look forward to. Oliver and me will give you guys our picks right now. Unfortunately, it's not as good of a week. We only have one ranked versus ranked matchup. It was going to be game day until Texas A&M decided to lose at App State. It's Miami coming to College Station to face Texas A&M. I like Tyler Van Dyke and Miami to beat A&M.
Me too. Van Dyke, good quarterback, gonna be a top 10 pick probably. A&M is kind of limping into this week, so I agree with that pick right there.
We also have BYU Oregon 25-12. Obviously a lot of people say BYU, but this game's in Eugene, a very tough environment, and Oregon just came off a big win. And I mean, a lot of people will get crushed by Georgia. So I actually am gonna go with Oregon, but I don't know. I'll take BYU +4.
Yeah, I think this go either way. It's gonna be a really good game. I'm gonna go BYU. I just love the way they rally to the ball. They got some dogs on that defense. And Jaron Hall, I think, gets his receivers back. He played well without him, and with him back, I think they could really pose a threat. But yeah, this is gonna be a really good game. Probably, I like that +4 spread too.
Yeah, I like Penn State, Auburn, good game, and then also I like Cal +12.5 versus Notre Dame. So yeah, good college football weekend. Let's move on to our final segment before we send you all on your way. NFL.
Yes, sir. All right. So the NFL season started Thursday with Bills Rams to kick it off. Defending champions Rams were embarrassed at home by Josh Allen and the Bills. Bills turned it over a couple times, but the Rams could not get anything going on offense. Matt Stafford did not look good. Couldn't develop a run game. Cam Akers was non-existent. As a Cam Akers fantasy owner in one of my leagues, I'm a bit disappointed. But yeah, Cooper Cup touchdown. But yeah, not much. This game is kind of boring for the first game of the year. Like the Bills look really good though. Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs are a good receiver tandem.
Yeah, two great teams playing. Obviously, Matthew Stafford struggled. It's all good. He just won a Super Bowl, but Josh Allen looked great on running the ball and throwing the ball. Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis, as you mentioned. But ultimately, the Bills defense looked really good. I think this Bills team starting off, a really solid year that I predicted and Oliver predicted are going to have a really solid year. We both predicted the Super Bowl. Looked good in their first game at LA.
Yeah, they really
Next
did.
up, we had the Eagles and the Lions, both teams that have some hype going into the year after our NFL predictions. For the Eagles, they won this game 38-35, and actually it was a little bit of a backdoor comeback right there by the Lions. So it wasn't necessarily a that close of a game.
Yeah.
However, Jalen Hurts played really well, 18 for 32, 243, and AJ Brown, it looks like a really solid Philadelphia Eagle right now, having 10 receptions for 155. Jared Goff played solid, but not amazing. Had an interception to pick six. DeAndre Swift played well. But yeah, Eagles won this game in Detroit. It looks good. Good start to the year. As we mentioned, it's an easy schedule to start. So they're going to start hot.
Yeah, Eagles are gonna start hot. I think I'm going like 7-0 or something to start. Yeah, I again, like you said, the game wasn't as close as the score may suggest. But for the Lions, a lot of things to, be put your head up about. Monroe St. Brown being one of them. DeAndre Swift being one of them. Got to get TJ Hawkinson more involved in this defense to, sharpen up a little bit. But not bad. And then the Niners took on the Bears in the Windy City. It was pouring rain. Niners got off to a quick 10-0 lead. Not very quick, but they got off to a 10-0 lead. And then the Bears scored 19 unanswered to finish the game, and a shocker there. So yeah, I mean, you're a Niners fan. You want to get more? You can probably you watch the game unlike me, so you can get more in-depth analysis.
Yeah, I obviously have many thoughts on this game. I've been thinking about it all day, but to put it into a short summary, I think that this game was a real shocker. Maybe it was good for the Niners, though. Obviously, the Bears were expected to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. The Niners had pretty solid expectations, So this is a big deal. But ultimately, I think Kyle Shanahan, some of those play calls at the end were not good. Elijah Mitchell was looking amazing. The run game, as always in Shanahan's scheme, is great. The line isn't as good as this year, but the scheme is looking great. Mitchell gets hurt, and it really messes this team up. At the end of the game, we have to rely on the pass. And no matter who the QB is, I think they're struggling due to the pass scheme. Having to rely on the pass has just never worked for Kyle Shanahan. So I was not impressed with the pass calling at the end. However, for Trey, you're not 100% let off the hook. He did not play perfect. I think we kind of saw maybe his floor today is just going to get better. It was pretty tough conditions for a QB to play in. However, that's no excuse. I think Trey struggles in the pocket, whether it's a catch or not. He had a few good rips, but he struggles in the pocket and almost looks to get out of it before the play even starts sometimes. I mean, our best offense was QB runs, no question. After Elijah got hurt. I mean, we just relied on that on like third and long every single time. And we have weapons. We shouldn't be relying on that when we have Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel as our receiving core. And last but not least, Trey Lance, you got to learn to slide. You got to learn to go down just like Justin Fields did, because he's going to get hurt. This isn't North Dakota State anymore where we can just run through these guys. You know what I mean, Oliver? I mean, these are NFL defensive players. Sure. He's going to get hurt. So Jimmy G is going to end up starting a few games in a little bit, whether it's due to injury or poor play, because the Niners brought Jimmy G back for a reason. That shows they're not 100% trusting Trey Lance right now.
Yeah,
but
sure.
We'll be back. And penalties killed us. Yeah,
I hear that a lot. Maybe there's not much trust in Trey Lance, but I think they trust him by giving that sure spot. Who knows?
Next up, we had the Steelers and the Bengals. Steelers almost tied, but it went to overtime. A ton of missed kicks today for both kickers. If it was one of those crazy games, one of those NFL witching hour classics. But a Steelers defense looked really good. They picked off Joe Burrow 4 times, and Mitchell Trubisky looked pretty admirable today for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And shout out the defense though for the Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Minka was probably team MVP. pick six, also blocked an extra point that would have
Yeah,
won the game
would've
for
won
the
it, yeah.
Bengals. Yeah, a lot of missed kicks. Most of them were not on McPherson though. It was on the snap and the hold. Like the field goal to win it in overtime, laces were showing. Just can't happen. But Steelers end up capitalizing at the last second. Chris Boswell hit from, I think, like 55. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dolphins, Patriots, Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa is 4-0 against the Patriots in his career. And yeah, this was the fourth win. Pat started off nice drive. Then Mac took a shot to Devontae Parker in the end zone, got tipped and then intercepted by Javon Holland, but still promising.
Yeah.
And Dolphins just couldn't get much going on offense. I know the score might say otherwise, but they had a strip sack that led to a fumble recovery for touchdown. When the Patriots were like their own 5-yard line. So it was pretty much 13-7 when it was all offense. And yeah, just neither offense impressed me. It was kind of a defensive game. But yeah, Patriots need to get their offensive issues sorted out. Here's the stats. Mac threw 1 TD to Ty Montgomery. It was kind of a dual rushing attack, but neither could get much going. Damian Harris being the more successful on the ground. Kendrick Bourne, though, only 1 catch, was only in the game for like 2 snaps. I don't really know what was going on there, but he did have 1 catch for 41 yards. Jacoby was really good today, had a nice catch. Jonnu got more involved, even more so than Hunter Henry. But yeah, offense just couldn't get much going. And Tua actually had a really good game. Tua is not as bad as you think, and they run this offense through Tyreek Hill, and he's a really good player. And
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle's reception at the end of the half really broke the Patriots.
The Dolphins have the Pats number, especially in Miami. They looked really good today. They had a lot of hype going into the season. They looked solid. You know, a lot of people were saying Tua played bad because a lot of people just see these highlights. The highlight of literally Tyreek Hill intercepting an interception, bad ball, an awful other ball that he underthrew. But that's why I think NFL Red Zone doesn't really show you the full game. I like to just watch the full games if you really want to get a good understanding. Because Tua did have 270 yards today, so he actually wasn't awful. And I think this Dolphins team's legit, and the Patriots will get it together. I think just got to fix some things up.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much a scheduled loss every time we go into Miami. It's really hot there. It was in the 90s. It's just not good. Belichick will get it sorted out, I hope. Jeez.
Yeah. Next up, we had the Browns and the Panthers, a little redemption game for Baker Mayfield. This one was in Carolina, and this was a really good game. I thought the Panthers had in the bag, but the Browns get a game-winning field goal by Cade York, and
that's why you draft a kicker, man.
They win it. So yeah, Jacoby Brissett, good game. Baker played solid. McCaffrey wasn't quite there. Robbie Anderson had himself a little bit of a game too. So the Baker Robbie Anderson beef looks like it's squashed.
Facts. Yeah, I kind of felt bad for Baker. He lost his revenge game. First tie of the year went to Colts Texans. No one in the AFC South has a win, and 2 of the teams played each other. That's just the most
that
AFC.
says it all about this game. Davis Mills played
AFC
well.
standings ever. AFC South standings ever. Yeah.
Davis Mills played well. Brandon Cooks continues to be one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, that's facts. And then Saints come behind victory against the Falcons. Yeah, famous Jameis, man.
Yeah, famous Jameis looked good. Great kick by Will Lutz. And also I have a feeling that this Falcons team is going to be one of those teams that's very inconsistent. 1 week they look really good. 1 week they look really bad. You know what I mean? They're going to be all over the place, but they were in it today. I think Marcus Mariota is a really underrated QB. Shout out the Saints. Good win. Next up, Ravens Jets. The Ravens look good. A lot of hype going into the season, and they took care of business today against Joe Flacco and the Jets.
Yeah. It started off pretty slow. Joe Flacco threw the ball 59 times for the Jets today. That's just ridiculous.
That's impressive. Good for him.
Yeah. But the Ravens, Lamar looked really sharp today, and yeah. Shout out Rashad Bateman. Shout out Devin Duvernay, getting the job done. Commanders with a nice come behind. They got off to a good lead, blew it, and then Carson Wentz kind of had a nice little debut.
Yeah.
threw 2 picks, I think. And Jahan Dotson, 2 touchdowns. Really good for the rookie out of Penn State. I called him being special. I think he's a really good player.
Very
Uh,
Commanders-esque game. I think Trevor Lawrence is looking good too, so don't sleep on him. I think the Jags are gonna be solid. They had this game in the back.
Yeah, they looked pretty good in this game, actually. Vikings took it to the Packers, man. Get Aaron Rodgers some help. He just doesn't have any. I mean, Romeo
Yeah.
Dobbs looked fine, but Christian Watson didn't look that good. And Sammy Watkins is your best receiver. It's just not that good.
And on the Minnesota Vikings side, they looked really good. I think this team's could easily be a playoff team this year, and Kirk Cousins looked really good as well. I think maybe he'll be a bit better this year, and I think Justin Jefferson's our early offensive rookie or offensive player of the year candidate.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the dude's nuts. Giants finally get a week 1 win over the Titans. This is good for the Giants. Brian Dable, man, he might turn this franchise around. He was gutsy, and he went for a 2-point conversion down by 1 at the end of the game. Still almost blew it, but Randy Bullock missed the game-winning field goal. Good for the Giants. I think it's their first week 1 victory in like 6 or 8 years.
Good for Saquon getting back, man. 164
Yeah,
yards. That's a
Dude
good
balled out.
game from him. Yeah, love to see it. Good for the Giants.
Yeah, Raiders, Chargers beat the Raiders. Raiders just looked pretty sloppy on offense. Good debut for Devontae, though. Got his first Raiders touchdown. Dude's just ridiculous. But Carr kind of struggled, and Justin Herbert doesn't even look human out there. He looks really good, man.
Yeah, he's gonna win MVP. And a new receiver on the loose for people to remember, DeAndre Carter, third-year player out of Sacramento State, looks really good for the Chargers today. So pick him
Yeah,
up.
former member of the Washington football team, Washington Commanders, and DeAndre Carter. And then the Chiefs, man. I told you they were gonna win that division, and they look like they are, man. They look really good. Maybe it's just the Cardinals aren't very good this year, but Chiefs, man, that offense is unstoppable. Patrick Mahomes threw 5 touchdowns today.
Yeah, looked really good. Chiefs are back at it, and Juju's back. And
Yeah.
Buccaneers Cowboys was Sunday Night Football to end it. A little bit of a boring game. Dak got hurt, but the Buccaneers look really good. And one good thing for the Cowboys, Micah Parsons looks really good.
Yeah, Mike Parsons is good. Only 1 touchdown in this game, kind of boring. Cowboys look really bad, and they lost Dak for a few weeks after this game too. Cooper Rush is gonna have to handle the reins. And then tomorrow night, Russ revenge game in Seattle at Luton Field or whatever it's called, Lumen Field. And yeah, Seahawks see if they can beat the Broncos, but I think the Broncos are pretty heavily favored in this one.
I like Seattle to cover, closer than experts think. I think the Seattle team isn't awful. Rashad Penny and the duo of Rashad Penny and
Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker are going to be really solid for Seattle. So
Yeah, I need Russell Wilson to get less than 17 fantasy points. So we're good. Yeah. So yeah, that's the NFL game. We'll see who wins this one. We'll talk about it next week, I guess. But yeah.
thank you. All right, outro that bit.
Thank you guys for watching CO Sports Talk once again. Hope you guys have a great start to your week by the time you're watching this. And yeah, I mean, great weekend of sports.
Yeah, it really was great football weekend. We're officially back in that football grind. We'll see y'all next Sunday, and hope you enjoy this episode.
Yeah, facts. Yeah.